Thank you for attending this presentation. My name is Gabriel-Dănuț Niculescu, and I work at the Romanian National Cyber Security Directorate. Me and my colleagues are working at transposing the Directive 2555 from 2022, also called the NIS Directive, NIS 2 Directive. And hopefully I will give you some good information, useful information about this directive. So let's get started. As I told you, we're going to talk mainly about the NIS 2 directive. The Romanian national legal framework, the main laws that cover this field of cybersecurity is the Emergency Ordinance 104, when was created the National Cyber Security Directorate, and the law that the transposition law for the first NIS directive, the law number 362 from 2018, and the government decision 1321 referring to the National Cybersecurity Strategy. The Romanian National Cybersecurity Directorate has two main roles. Is the single point of contact for Romania regarding the collaboration between states for cybersecurity, and we have the National CSIRT, Computer Security Incident Response Team. I hope you know what this team does. They respond to cyber incidents, and they handle them, and they coordinate other cybersecurity, other CSIRTs to handle cybersecurity incidents. Our objective for NIS 2 is to implement a platform for facilitate the collaboration between CSIRTs and other entities, exchange of information between state institutions and industry sectors that are under NIS 2 directive. And we hopefully coordinate the efforts to increase the security, the cybersecurity in civilian fields. We will talk about the first NIS directive, 1148, adopted in 2016, and the second one, which was adopted in 2022, the Directive 2555 of the European Parliament and the Council regarding measures for a high common level of cybersecurity on the entire Union. We will mention about the Directive 2554 of the European Parliament and the Council on digital operational resilience on financial sector, also called DORA, and the Directive 2557 regarding the resilience of critical entities. So, over the last decade, cybersecurity has become a priority for the European Union in the context of increasing cyber threats and growing resilience, reliance on technology in all sectors of economic and social life. So, our systems are getting more and more interconnected, and we depend on other networks to work, to function, and if something happens in one network, can affect other entities. So it's important to adopt a common level of cybersecurity so that we get all protected. And major cybersecurity incidents, such as ransomware attacks affecting critical infrastructures and financial institutions, have highlighted the need for robust regulation to protect vital infrastructure and civilian data. We all know that the pandemic of COVID-19 has forced the member state to digitalize more, and with that digitalization, more threats and more incidents happened. So everything it's more intense right now in the cybersecurity. The aim of the presentations, we analyze how the NIS2 directive updates and extend the regulations set out in the original NIS2 directive. We will see what it brings, and we will discuss the impact of the NIS2 directive on organizations, including the increased obligation and compliance measures required, and the benefits of improving overall security in cyber. The NIS directive was the first piece of legislation of the UE, European Parliament, and the Council that addressed this problem and intended to set out a common level of cybersecurity, so for all member states, to make sure that if an incident happens in a state which has a lower cybersecurity, have lower cybersecurity measures, to make sure that does not affect other states. So that's important. Think like you are in a neighborhood, and in order to protect your neighborhood, all the people in the neighborhood have to have surveillance cameras, to have fences, and so on, and to collaborate with each other to know what happens in the neighborhood, if someone from outside is coming, why he comes, what he wants, and so on. So the main purpose is to increase the level of cybersecurity at Union level. Those measures initially were meant to apply to certain vital sectors like energy, transport, financial, banking, health, drinking water, and digital infrastructure. We'll see later that those sectors now remained in the NIS2 directive, but there were added others. What is the NIS2 directive? Well, it's an upgrade of the first NIS directive. It starts from principles and tools defined in the NIS directive, so what was good in the first NIS directive remained. And they added other things to better enforce and to have a common implementation of the directive. It has a similar but stricter approach and broader scope, a slight difference in concept and terminology. The deadline for the implementation is 17 October 2024, so there are a few months to comply with the directive. As I was saying, there were important measures implemented in the first NIS directive that were used in the second directive. Member states must adopt a national strategy on network and information system security. So you have to make plans for a longer term. In Romania, I mentioned that we have a strategy for 5 years. And every 5 years, it will be reanalyzed if needed. Establish an European cooperation group to increase information exchange and trust between states. I can tell you that that group is working, and they are helping to state to exchange information, to understand how the directive was implemented in each state, to understand what can be made to be better understood and better implemented. Designation of single point of contacts, vital for ensuring cooperation and coordination between states. Yes, it's important because when you have a problem, the problem might not be in your country. So the problem might be in another state, and the effects of the significant cybersecurity incident could spread out in the union. So you need to know who to call, let's say like that. You need to know what people handle, what authority handles the incident in the other state. And not just for that, we exchange information. We understand how other states mitigated attacks so that we can learn from them and apply when it happens to us. Designate CSIRTs teams and create a network of those teams to collaborate and exchange information and best practices. The CSIRTs, as I said, they are the team that handles the attack. They have technical information. They know how to communicate. The slide is not good. Medium-sized entities. A part of medium-sized entities will enter the NIS 2 directive. Now, medium-sized are entities that are have between 50 and 250 employees. So, entities that have over 250 employees and are in one of those sectors will enter under the NIS directive, considered essential entities. And there are some entities between 50 employees and 250 that will enter also. Entities above the threshold of medium-sized entities listed in the first table. So this one. Qualified trust service providers and top-level domain name registry, as well as DNS services providers, regardless of their size. Providers of public electronic communication network or publicly available electronic communication services that qualify as medium-sized enterprise. So if the entity have between 50 and 250 employees, they will enter, and they are public electronic communication networks, they will enter under the NIS directive as essential entities. Public administrations entities at central level. And there are some special cases. In some cases, it doesn't matter the size. It's important what the entity does, and in this category will enter entities providing an essential service to society. So the EU Parliament and the Council had to take in consideration that every state is different. They might have an entity that is providing an essential service to the society, and it's unique for that country. So the country might want to protect it from cyber attacks. Entities providing service which, if disrupted, would significantly affect public safety and security or public health care. The same thing, you might have an entity that supplies a service, provides a service for a special entity, like, I know, a big hospital, national security institution, or something like that, and you want to protect it so the service of the main entity not be affected. The disruption of the service provided by the entity could generate significant systemic cross-border impact. So if I have an entity in my country that provides services to me, to my country, and to other countries, or provides the service to an entity that it's spread in other states, you should protect that entity. The entity is critical to a particular sector at national or regional level. Public administration entities at central or regional level, if they are of significant importance, depends from state to state. So there will be a group of essential entities. In this group of essential entities will enter some entities that will have a double role. In every country there is critical infrastructure and critical entities. Entities that are very, very important for the state to work. For those entities, they will have to comply with the NIS directive and also with sectorial directives like Directive 2557 from 2022. They will be the most protected and they'll have the highest level of cybersecurity. It will also include most, if not all, IT service providers to the financial sector. Therefore, it also needs to be aligned with the DORA directive. So, third, financial sectors have suppliers that offer them different kinds of services, and most of those suppliers are spread in many banks, many financial institutions. So if that entity is not working like 24 hours, it can create an impact very high in the financial sector. So those entities, those concentration of service providers must be protected, and they will also be under the NIS directive and the sectorial directive of DORA. Other entities may be included depending on the specificity of the member states, local authorities, educational institutions providing critical research activities. Security risk management measures. What should be addressed when understanding and evaluating your cybersecurity? Policies on risk analysis and information system security. So first of all, you as an entity, you should understand how your organization is working. You should, first of all, establish what kind of service you provide, how that service is connected to the network and information system, and what would happen if that system would not work from an attack. So you have to, after you do this, you have to think about what you'll have to do if that happens. If that happens and you cannot use your system, what would you do to get back on track? Incident handling, as I said, you have to think about that. How would you proceed to mitigate the attack and to reestablish your systems? Business continuity also, to make sure you have backups and other things like that to help you get back on track as fast as possible. Supply chain security. It's a link to a report of NIS. At the end, there are specific types of attacks that occur on the supply chain. So you should ask your provider of a service to have a decent cybersecurity so that you will not be attacked through him. Security in network and information system acquisition, policies and procedures to assess the effectiveness of cybersecurity risk management measures. So, as an example here, I will think about penetration testing and other tests like this. Basic cybersecurity hygiene practices and cybersecurity training. You should train your employees because a big vulnerability are people who don't know anything about cybersecurity and how to protect themselves, first of all, and the second, to protect their companies. Many incidents come from this problem. We should understand, and your employees should understand that they should not download files from unknown source. Just the basics, you know? If I have an email that I use at my work, I use it only for my work, not for my personal problems, and I do not download things that I don't know. I didn't ask for them, or I don't talk with other person through my business email. Policies and procedures on the use of cryptography and encryption. That might be interesting in order to protect valuable data. And human resources security, access control policies, and asset management. Any company should know what assets they have, how up-to-date are their systems and softwares and hardwares, and should make a plan to keep them up-to-date. The use of multi-factor authentication solution, secure communication, and secure emergency communication system. There are cases when you have only one way to communicate with other people. So let's say an email. You don't have the phone number or something like this. So you should make sure you have 2 or 3 ways to communicate with other entities, with your partners, with the national authority, in order to tell them when you have a problem, inform them so that you get help. The obligation to report significant incidents, also you have to establish a procedure and to designate the person who has to notify fast the national authority when you have an incident. Surveillance and enforcement measures. On-site inspections and off-site supervision. So, us as a national authority, we can make inspections to see what cybersecurity measures you have implemented, if they are they have efficiency. We can come to you, or we can just ask for documentation and the proof that you had implemented the necessary measures to protect yourself. Regular and targeted security audits. Entities that are essential, that will be in the group of essential entities, will have to do regular audits. So it's a proactive measure. We do not expect to evaluate you after an incident. So we are evaluating you before an incident in order to prevent the attack, to make sure that it will not happen. Ad hoc audits. So we'll have the possibility to ask for an audit instantly after an incident, especially, or when we have information that you are not complying with the NIS2 directive, to see if that's true or not, or after an incident to understand what happened and what measure can we take to prevent other attacks. Security scans. As I was saying, we hope that we will receive information about vulnerabilities from good people, from people that find them occasionally, or people that are just testing their skills. So we will do security scans in order to understand who might have that vulnerability in their system, to inform them, to say, guys, you have that vulnerability, take measures to mitigate it, to cover it. Information requests. All kind of information, everything about cybersecurity, and that could help us to understand what is happening, and maybe to use something that information that might help others. So we encourage collaborations within entities, especially in every entity in their sector. Request for access to data, documents, and any information. We hope to collaborate. We hope to understand the importance of cybersecurity, and we would prefer not to have to come to you and request the data and to access the system to receive that data. So, but if there will be problems, we will have the possibility to do that. Request for evidence of implementation of cybersecurity policies. We'll have to see if you have implemented your cybersecurity measures. We will have to see if you, after an audit, maybe we found something that is not right. So after a while, we will ask you to see if you implemented those measures recommended by an auditor. Sanctions. Now, I've seen presentations where NIS2 is presented like a buhuhu, like a thing that should be scared of, and I don't know, they will crush us with this directive. No, it's not, because we start with simple sanctions. We try to make the board of those entities to understand that it's important to comply, not enforce them no matter what you do like us, and I don't care what you think, I don't care what. So we'll start with warnings. Just notify them, guys, something is not right, fix it. Adopt binding instructions. We will tell them, you have to do that, you have to implement, like, I don't know, two-factor authentication, or maybe I will tell them, train your employees, or something like this. So gradually we will increase our enforcement measures. Enforcing the implementation of cybersecurity measures within well-defined deadlines. The same things, especially after incidents, we will ask you to cover your vulnerability that was exploited. Inform clients in order to mitigate the attacks. So, I don't know, like, if you want to mitigate an attack and you have to inform the public so they can take measures for themselves to protect, to not spread the malware or what the problem is, you should inform your clients. And usually entities do not like to share publicly incidents, so they might not want to do that, but we can enforce that. Application of sanctions. So, essential entities, up to $10 million, euros, sorry, and 2% of worldwide turnover. Some money, I would say. And the important entities, up to 7 million euros or 1.4 worldwide turnover. The difference between essential entities and important entities is that important entities do not have to do regular audits. So they will not, I don't know, essential entities will have to do regular audits, like 1 year, every year, or every 2 years, or every 3 years. Every state will implement that. But important entities, on important entities, we are more relaxed. So in essential entities, we have a proactive approach, so we want to make sure they are prepared. Like otherwise, in important entities, we will check them only after an incident. Only if something went wrong, we will check what measure they have and how to improve. And temporary suspension of certification of authorization concerning part of all relevant services. So we will suspend the activity if necessary, if you don't comply with our request. We will have this possibility. But this and the next one are like extreme measures. We do not expect to reach this point. We hope so. Temporary prohibit exercising managerial functions. So if the person responsible for cybersecurity in an entity, the person from the board, does not understand that they have to take measures to protect themselves from a cyber incident, we will have the possibility to prohibit him exercising his managerial functions. Conclusion, the NIS directive extends the scope, so more sectors are included. Significant incident reporting obligations are defined, so all the member states, all entities from all member states will have the same notification deadlines. Security measures are defined being a risk-based approach. What that means? Well, this is mentioned in multiple paragraphs from the directive. Now, measures can be taken at different levels. So when we talk about a password, we can make the password we can implement two-factor authentications, big letters, small letters, and so on. So depending on how important are you, how big are you, how many attacks are on that sector, in that sector in which you are, and what types of attacks you might you might have. You should take certain measures to protect yourself. It's not all of them, all entities must have state-of-the-art cybersecurity. So depending on how important are you and the risk you have, you will have to implement certain measures at a certain level. Clearer supervision and control measures are established. As I said, there are certain levels, certain measures that we can take. All states, all authorities from all states will have those possibilities to control and to make sure entities are complying with the directive. Enforcement measures are established, so the sanctions and the suspensions of the activity and the manager and so on. So, questions? Yes. Oh, okay. First. You were the first.
Hey, thank you. So I would have a couple of questions. If my understanding was correct, you are encouraging, let's say, civilians to share information with you around vulnerabilities and such. So does that mean that, well, first of all, how do you validate the intent? Does that mean that someone can just start mass scanning all the Romanian IPs for vulnerabilities?
How are we going to do that?
No. Let's just say someone in this room decides, okay, well, you guys receive and encourage them to share vulnerability information with you, right?
Yes.
In order to fix them. So the question is, can that person start mass scanning all Romanian IPs for vulnerabilities with the intent of sharing the information with you?
If that's the only intent, I would say yes. There are fine lines here between having good ideas and not good ideas. So
actually, that's my question. So how do you validate the intent, and what are the guarantees that you can provide for them, so they wouldn't be prosecuted?
Yeah, that's the problem. The prosecution. So it's very hard. We are working on defining that line between being prosecuted and being excluded from prosecutions. But mainly, many things will be evaluated in order to understand if you had bad intentions or not. Like, what did you do after you scanned them? If you found the vulnerability, if you stopped your activity there, or you went further and, I don't know, mess around the system, extract data, or things like that. Because if you found the vulnerability, you enter in a system, and you start doing other things there, I don't know if your intentions are so good. It's hard it's hard, but mainly will not be necessary our role to establish if you should be prosecuted or not. Those roles will be at the Justice Department.
Okay, so let me ask it in another way then. Do you have any clear rules of engagement, so to say, that one could follow in order to, be compliant with such requests?
We have not made the final decision in that matter, so I say.
Okay, so this is rather a draft then. So it's not really encouraged for people to start, doing scans on different entities without previous approval.
how we will encourage those persons to make scans and find vulnerability? We will find ways, like bounty hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So we will find ways to encourage those persons to find vulnerability, because it's very important to find the vulnerability before a perpetrator finds it. So clearly he will use it in bad ways. So I think it's important to encourage the good guys to, I don't know, improve their skills. I think that's the main reason that they are doing this, and we should benefit from that.
Yeah, I do agree on that. And I do have another quick question, if I may. So considering that EU states are sharing information between them, do you have any standards and frameworks that you are using? Like, I don't know, for threat intelligence, are you using something standard like STIX2, or for vulnerability information sharing, OVAL, or things like that? And if you do aggregate this information, is it, so to say, publicly available for public consumption?
It's good questions. Now, we expect to receive a lot of information. Many will be relevant, some will not be relevant, many will be, there will be some information that publicly available, but not all. Of course, depends on the information, from where you receive it. It's important for the public, or it's important just for one sector. So I will forward that information only for those entities that need it. So it's a principle regarding the classified information. So you will have access to that information as long as you need it. That's the main principle. So if the public might benefit from having that information, we most probably give that information publicly. But if that's not an information that's important for all sectors, we will not give that information for all sectors. We will give only for the sector that needs it. Okay? Thank you.
Hi. As an essential service, how much time do I have to comply with the new law after it is published?
After we transpose the directive, we'll set up deadlines. I will not be able to tell you a certain date right now, but we understand that will have to be a time to adjust, to make adjustments. So we take that in consideration.
Hi. I have a question related to companies. And yes. Given that in Romania, most of the software companies are outsourcing, let's say, or building products in various industries, should this company be compliant with this directive? Or should our customers in this space be compliant and should act as, hey, you should comply to this law, even though we are building this product? Because I feel like we are more in the supply chain. Okay. And it's like we build furniture for them or some industrial appliance, and they are the owner of that product. And should we also be compliant?
The main responsibility remains at the essential entity, not at you. So we cannot impose you to do anything. But the essential entity might ask you to have a minimum measures to make sure that the service you are providing is secured. There is this problem, and many people say that you will be affected as a provider and you will have to apply the NIS directive. Depends from case to case, because there are cases when you can mitigate that problem. Let's say, I don't know, you have a communication service provider, so network and communication. So you might want to connect to two networks, so that you don't impose that provider to have a high level of security, but because you have a second connection, if one of the providers has an incident, you will be still able to function through the second network that you are connected. So there are many ways you can deal with this. It's not about imposing for all the companies that offer services to essential entities to comply with the NIS 2 directive. Ways can be found. I give you an example, what on the spot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
Hi. Wanted to ask who will perform the audit on the essential entities? Is it audit firms or also the National Directorate of Cyber Security? And then how will the companies request this audit? I mean, they have to request it, or the audit companies are going to them, or how is it going?
First question, most probably we won't do audits. We will rely on inspections. The audits will be made by auditors certificated by us. And the second one, let's say you are an essential entity. And let's say, I don't know, we set up the rule that you should make a regular audit every 2 years. So there will be specified in the directive, in the law, when you have to do the deadline for making the first audit, and then you know every 2 years to do it. Yes. There's one more question. Minute? Okay, the last question, sorry, time.
Hi.
Hi.
I am from a company that is essential service operator, essential entity,
Essential
critical infrastructure, all
of them.
All of them.
Okay.
Okay. We had the second, what he called, pen test that we sent to the DNSC. And we understand that DNSC has a response team if we have a problem to communicate with. Does DNSC have a response team for each of these critical infrastructure, because it is, if you have a water supply company or an electricity company, there is two different things and in the low level.
Yes, but we are in the middle of informations. So mainly we encourage every sector to have a CSIRT. Yes, a CSIRT in every sector would know the best things to do and the best how to handle an incident. But we are the single point of contact. So we have the possibility to ask informations and good practices from other states, from other sectors, from everyone. So maybe our guys will not know the best way to deal with the incident, but they will have the possibility to get best informations and best tools to do so. So I don't mind if in your sector you make a team of CSIRTs, and we will support them how we can. We are not the best guys who handle everything in every sector. We are aware of that. that's why we hope that the collaboration will bring us many benefits. Any problem you have, you can report to us. You can tell us we don't know how to handle it. How would you recommend to handle it? And we will ask our partners if we don't have the best solution for you. Thank you very much.